Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Ford, and we're so glad you could join us today.
And I'm Lawson Page, and welcome to the place where anything can happen. Mind Theory.
Today on Mind Theory, we will be talking about a very special man, a very iconic man in the world of comedy, horror, drama, anything you could think of in this modern era.
Joe Biden.
Um, Not quite.
Oh.
He's an icon of many different things in not such a great way. But today we are talking about the one and only Jordan Peele.
Oh.
So, yay. So, Jordan Peele was born February 21st, 1979, in New York. And he's an American actor, comedian, filmmaker, known for his film and television work in the comedy and horror dramas. Um, Peele started his career in sketch comedy before transitioning his career as a writer and director of psychological horror and satirical films like Get Out, Us, Nope, Candyman, Key and Peele, which a lot of you may know. And we will be getting into all of that today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, Jordan Peele has become probably one of my favorite directors in like the horror genre, which, I mean, as you know, and is my favorite genre of movies. And
Yep.
I think it's really neat and unique that he started at like Mad TV, which is known for like their skits and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's based on comedy. But then like and then you see him go into like Key and Peele, which is just a masterpiece of just comedy. Um but also like in Key and Peele, I feel like you can see like some of his experimental horror.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. For sure.
because like there's that episode with the hospital kid and like how
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
how it's like really dark and you're like, huh, this is definitely a different vibe, which I almost feel like is Jordan Peele, kind of stepping into his horror shoes, even as a comedy writer,
It
which
is. It
I
is.
appreciate.
It is. It's not, in a lot of that Key and Peele stuff, especially now seeing the movies and knowing what we know about him. There are a lot of horror elements, and there's a lot of moments in those episodes that you go back and it's like, wow. I mean, that feels like Get Out. That feels like Us. You know what I mean? It just
Oh,
all
for
kind of
sure.
it starts to make sense. You know?
Absolutely. And I actually was watching a video the other day, and I don't know if we talked about this, but it's Jordan Peele talking about like one of his biggest influences. The movie he referenced is really shocking to me, but it makes a lot of sense. The
Uh,
movie that he said was like one of his biggest influences is The Fly.
I have. Yeah, I think I know what video you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about how like it inspired him, it scared him as a kid, and how it like gave him like that. Ooh, I like horror. So I really think it's interesting because I saw The Fly probably for the first time this year as
Yeah.
well, and was like, hmm, this is different.
Yeah. It
I
is.
wouldn't have expected that.
It is. So first, I guess we should kind of start from one of the first Jordan Peele things Jordan Peele is known for with Key and Peele, and there were 5 seasons from 2012 to 2015, and Jordan Peele along with Keegan Michael Key, what a freaking duo they are!
Oh yeah.
Comedy gold. Characters Megan, the famous A Ron video. That's such a classic. Did you see the one Georgiana and Esther and Satan, the one with Satan in church, where it's like the two of them? That episode is
I
wild.
forgot
It
about
is
that
not
episode,
PG, but it is wild.
but it is really good. It's good.
And I'm trying to think, East West Bowl with all the names like Xmas, Jackson, Blackson, Black, whatever, all the names that they could come up with. X Wing at Aliciousness. It's like, where do they come up with this stuff?
I don't know,
It
but
just
they're
goes on and on and on.
yeah. They are a duo unlike any other.
They
And
are.
I used to watch that, like, especially early college years. Many a times that was on my TV, just playing in the background. I'd catch myself just watching it and laughing at it the whole time. And one of my favorite characters was the Wendell, the really big guy.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite episodes is the pizza. I'll have this type of pizza with cheesy crust.
Yeah, yeah, cheesy crust.
There's another one that he does with Wendell, and it's like the Superman bed, and he
Oh
blames
my
it on
god.
his kid, but his kid is the Stimpy,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, "Stimpy, this is why no one loves you." I've quoted that to way too many people. Stimpy, this is why no one loves you. That
It's
sounds horrible.
crazy that but it's all so it's so smart.
Oh,
There's so
absolutely.
many even in a 2-minute clip, there could be 5 major plot twists.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, it's great. I mean, and this stuff was aired on TV, and it's worldwide. It's Mr. Worldwide now. It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
um, but another episode, one episode I want to mention. It was at a it was at a they were trying to cross the street, and he was like pressing the button, and he was like accusing him. Jordan was like accusing him of not pressing the button or whatever, and then he like runs across the road and gets killed or whatever. That's how it ended. And that for me, that was the first episode I saw that I was like, wow, that was really dark. Like holy crap! It was like, and he got, and I was like, have you not seen that episode?
No.
Okay, you need to after we're done, you need to go watch that because
All
it
right,
is
definitely.
it is crazy. It takes a turn you don't think. But that was one of the first episodes I watched. I was like, this is straight up like this is dark comedy bordering on horror because it goes in this really dark place. It starts out all light and haha chipper, and then by the end it's like they're yelling at each other. The music is like and it's like it's terrifying, and it doesn't end well. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert: it doesn't end well.
but man, that is just the genius behind Jordan Peele and
Yeah,
like everything he does. Everything he touches turns to gold, in my opinion.
yeah,
And not a lot of people can be said about.
I
But
agree.
everything
I
he
agree.
touches, horror or comedy, is just top tier.
It's top notch. It is. It is.
Even what's his producing company?
You talking about Monkey
Uh,
Paw?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
like everything that they do, I watch and I'm like blown away with
yeah,
every time without fail. Anything,
yeah,
it's just above what I was expecting, or like I guess what you would call like the average. It is going to be above average if Monkey
yeah.
Paw or Jordan Peele has touched it.
Well, in a way, it's kind of like A24 too for me,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that's a foreshadowing to future episode. But
Yeah, we will have an
yeah.
A24 episode
Oh, we
because
will
I could talk about that company
for
for
years.
3 episodes in a row.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Um, yeah, for me. There's not much more else to say on Key and Peele. I mean, it's just a great show. There's not a lot of bad episodes. It's all quality stuff. There's some that I favor over others, and there's some I haven't seen honestly because there's so much of the show.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but yeah, it was definitely the world, not just certain groups of people. The whole world got to see Jordan Peele and Keegan, and it was like boom. It's a jump start for him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, indubitably,
Indubitably. So,
indubitably.
do you have anything else on Key and Peele?
Really, no. Other than whoever's watching that hasn't watched it, definitely
Yeah,
spend an hour or 12 just watching it.
because you will spend 12 if
Yeah.
you only. All right. So now we kind of take a turn here, and we're going to talk about Jordan Peele's films. Um, what an amazing director, in my opinion, that he has turned out to be. It's
Yeah,
mainly in the horror genre so far. I mean, everything he has produced has been, he's been a visionary, revolutionary. It's funny, but it's horrifying at the same time. There's so many elements in his movies. It's very, people kind of akin him to, Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, people like that. And I would say, I mean, the body of work we're about to discuss falls in line with, he's a modern day version of those guys.
I
He's
yeah,
at such a high level. It's insane.
I definitely agree with calling him the like, or at least me and you, because I mean we're 22 years
Yeah.
old. He's definitely our version of Alfred Hitchcock,
Yeah.
and it is really cool. Like, I don't know, he has some of the biggest twists in his movies, and
Yeah.
they're just. I mean, I've seen every single one of his movies multiple. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 times each,
Yeah.
and I love it. I don't get tired of it
And you get something new out of it every time.
every time. Yeah.
And there's still so many questions. No matter how many times you see this movie, there's still so many questions. So let's get into it. The first is Get Out, which came out on February 24th, 2017. Now that Chris and his girlfriend Rose have reached the meet the parents milestone of dating,
Mhm.
she invites him for a weekend getaway upstate with her parents, Missy and Dean. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship, but as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries leads him to a truth that he could have never imagined. And this stars Daniel Kaluuya and as Chris Washington, and Allison Williams as Rose Armitage. And as you will see, Daniel Kaluuya is a reoccurring theme in Jordan Peele films. They tend to work well together, and Daniel is a fantastic actor.
Oh, he's amazing. I mean, whether it's Jordan Peele or even I saw he was on a Black Mirror episode once.
Really?
Yeah, and he keeps that same energy. He does great in everything. He was also Spider Punk, which
Yeah,
yeah, he was cool. But like, I love the actor, and he did a great job on Get Out. I
yeah.
don't know why my voice is going out on me, but it is. But he did such an amazing job, and like his timing, with every movement he makes in this movie, there's not an awkward moment, and he's just
Mhm.
on point. Like the comedy on point. It,
Yeah,
just everything. He They worked so well together, Jordan and him, and it's definitely, I hope that he's in more Jordan Peele movies in the future.
I agree. I agree. I think um, a theme, and you chime in here too, but a theme in horror movies, especially of late, is the comedy elements. They try to force the comedy in, and it takes away from the whole point of the movie. I mean, it just pulls you out. It's so dumb. It'll be some random out of pocket joke about who knows what, race, like it could be anything, and it feels so forced and so dumb, and it's like, oh, we want to put a joke here, so we're going to put a joke here, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree, and that definitely has happened in so many movies lately. Um, and you could even take it from the Marvel movies right now. Like,
Yeah,
whenever, there's a serious moment, somehow, like, a great movie is kind of, like, hit with a bad joke. Or where it just feels forced. Like, the comedy feels forced.
yeah,
And it makes, me watching it, I'm like, eh. Or
yeah,
it's almost like offbeat, and it's like, but not even in like an ironic or developing the movie kind of way. It's just kind of like, how did this make it past test screenings?
Yeah,
I don't know. And like so many horror movies do that now. I think like that was a victim of the Nun one was a victim of that.
yeah,
Um, Other horror movies like especially in Bloomhouse
hmm
recent years they've had like just offbeat comedy, and it honestly just turns off from the emotions of the movie because then I don't know, I kind of check out after like the fourth bad joke, and I'm
yeah.
like, we've had four of these already. Like,
It's just bad writing. It's
yeah,
clumsy writing.
it's lazy,
It
but
is. It is lazy.
that's one thing that I think Jordan Peele has mastered, especially being
That's
like
where I was headed.
within the horror genre and the comedy genre. Like, it's perfect timing. I'm like, huh, that joke worked. Like, I'm still
Yeah,
in. I don't even think of it as a joke other than I think of it as like, oh, the writing is pretty good in this movie. Like, everyone's doing their part.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very, because he's such a good comedy writer, and now he's such a good horror writer. It's the perfect blend. You know, he knows the comedic timing and he knows the horror timing. And he said, I've heard him say in an interview that comedy and horror are way more similar than people think they are because the audience is supposed to react, whether that's screaming, laughing, whatever. Those genres are supposed to elicit a reaction, and he
Hmm,
said they're very similar. You know, they go. He said they go hand in hand. You know,
absolutely.
if
And
they are done right, they go hand in hand.
that's definitely how it is in Get Out, now that you like said that. Because
Yeah.
I think about the characters and their kind of reactions with each other. It's like, what'd you say? I don't remember the character's name. It's the Washington character.
Oh yeah, Chris
It's Dan
Washington. Yeah,
Chris Washington.
Daniel. Yeah.
It's like Chris and like his buddy who's the like, what is he? I feel bad that I'm not knowing like these right off the bat, but it's like his friend, his best friend in the movie that
Yeah,
works
yeah.
with the like security
hmm Yeah,
or it may be airport security.
yeah,
It's something in that line. But like their comedy back and forth, perfect
yeah, yeah,
time. Even in intense moments when they make a joke or something, perfect.
yeah.
And the movie just goes from, I mean, I could be scared one minute and then like laughing the next, and it feels
Yeah,
natural.
it does. Yeah, exactly.
And the movie is just a psychological masterpiece.
Yeah,
Because from beginning to end, you're like, what is happening?
I know. I know. Um, So I found out today that there is actually a class at UCLA based off of this movie and because of this movie.
What?
Uh, Professor Dew, author and lecturer at UCLA's Department of African American Studies, knew the first time she watched last year's breakout horror film Get Out that it was just one of those phenomena. She snuck Jordan Peele into into one of her classes because she was gonna play a scene from the movie, and she snuck him in. And after the scene, she said everybody was like freaking out, and
I would.
the scene was over, and she was like, "Does anybody have any questions?" And Jordan Peele raised his hand and was like, I have a question." And everybody started like freaking out. It's like, "Oh my God, Jordan Peele!"
That's
So
so,
that would have been awesome to experience that. But yeah, I mean, this movie sent shockwaves across the world. I mean, I think it has the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating of any horror movie. It's like 99%. And
what?
audience is like 98%. I mean, it's some. Let me look it up because
That's crazy.
I want to be get out. I want to be correct here. Let's see. Well, if it'll load. Duh, duh, duh.
Oh, but there's so many good scenes in that movie.
Yeah. Yep. 98%.
Wow.
98%.
I mean, I remember watching it for the first time, not really knowing what to expect. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
he's a comedy writer. I mean, is he going to do
How
well with
good
it?
can this be? Yeah.
Yeah, but then it just blew me away. You
Yeah.
know, just all of it was so good.
And one thing I found interesting, this is a cinematography thing because I love, as you guys will quickly find out, I'm a cinematography nerd and I learn all about all the details of that, but I'll spare everybody some of the pointless information. But that when they first get to the house of the family, it's all it's very warm tones. It's very like warm yellows and greens and golds, and it just feels very welcoming because they want the audience. Jordan wants the audience to have a false sense of insecurity, just like Daniel's character does. About, oh, this is going to be great. They're so nice and so accommodating, and this. It's not a spooky house. It's not pouring rain. Lightning's not cracking on purpose because we're supposed to feel what Daniel's character is feeling, which is, oh, everything's cool, man. They're nice. Maybe this isn't so weird. But then they have uh, African American people working for them and cooking and cleaning and doing things that it's like stepping back in time in a weird way, and then things happen. Let's leave it
A
there. Things
few
happen.
literal skeletons in the closet.
Yes, 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 yes. And those final 15 minutes, man.
Intense.
Yeah, total, total, total. Wow. Yeah,
What
I
a
don't even
movie.
have any words. Yeah, and the scene with the guy running like at the camera when he's like outside and he like runs at the camera and then darts the slave guy, and he's like barreling at the camera and then turns and he's just like staring into the camera. That scene
Yeah,
always freaked me out. That's a Jordan Peele, as I've noticed watching his movies, that's kind of a Jordan Peele thing. It's just like
right.
really awkward scenes with people doing things that people don't normally do.
Yeah,
Like they're very kind of robotic and weird. And we'll see. There's a couple other directors that kind of do that too that I like. But um, yeah, I mean, I would give this movie out of 10. I would probably give this movie like a 9.8. There's not much about this movie that I don't like. It's been a while. I mean, it's in terms of where it sits within, like, I guess, a subgenre of horror and that kind of thing. I like it. It's not my favorite style of it's I mean, I love the movie. It's probably my favorite within this whole like race social commentary thing. But yeah, I mean, it's great, especially for Jordan Peele's debut. It's like, wow. I mean, what?
absolutely. Oh man, what a I think I would rank it maybe, or not rank it, but I'd rate it probably a. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10
Yeah,
because, you know, I mean, it's just a phenomenal movie.
yeah.
Whoever hasn't seen it needs to go watch it like immediately. Like call off from work, say, I got like a series to watch. I'll see you later. But man, I could talk about that movie all day though.
Well, I might pull my. I'm going to pull it down to a 9 because I know it's coming and I've got things happening. So I'm gonna pull it down to a 9. So next is Us. Hmm. March 22nd, 2019. Accompanied by her husband, son, and daughter, Adelaide Wilson returns to the beachfront home where she grew up as a child. Haunted by a traumatic experience from the past, Adelaide grows increasingly concerned that something bad is going to happen. Her worst fears soon become a reality when four masked strangers descend upon the house, forcing the Wilsons into a fight for survival. When the masks come off and the family is horrified to learn that each attacker takes the appearance of one of them. And this is Lupita Nyong'o as Red or Adelaide Wilson, and Winston Duke as Gabe Wilson, who is one of my favorite actors today. The both of them are. They are power. They were a power couple in this movie.
They really were. And that movie, oh man, I remember watching that in theaters and being like on
Boom!
the edge of my seat the
The
whole
whole time.
because I never thought that a movie like this would ever be so intense. Because if I thought, oh, there's just another version of myself or something, or you know what I mean, like that doesn't
Hmm.
sound so scary.
Right.
I'd be like, well, I would be scared of myself, but
Yeah.
maybe on the comedy side, okay, I make a joke
Yeah.
too. Um, but no, definitely, I never thought like something like this would be as intense as it was.
Yeah.
But the whole movie is just like one big mind blowing movie.
Yeah.
And just the acting in it is phenomenal because you see like every single character has like two sides of them. They're doing like two completely different acting. And I think that really showcases a lot of the acting or a lot of the actors, like their abilities and their skills, and like
Yeah.
how to be like two completely separate characters but be the same person, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's just it's so great, especially with the mom and the dad, like they're two separate characters, and even the son. In that, you see the to me, like the big strong suits are definitely the son and the mom
Yeah.
because their character development is unreal for like a horror movie because it's definitely about kind of trying to find yourself and trying to find who you are. And like, Jordan Peele, he touches so well on that,
Oh yeah.
especially like in that movie. It's just intense.
It is. And it's yeah,
Crazy.
it's about also about facing your demons and digging up what's under the surface and facing those demons literally in this movie. It's such a powerful message. I mean, that's one of so many things. This is probably for me. This is the movie I have the most questions about. By the end, there's a lot of things that happen towards it's just bam, 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 and it's like, but it's this movie has such perfect pacing because it
Mhm.
starts with a little gotcha, and then it's this fan. Oh, it's so nice. It's funny. There's like the scene on the lake with Winston Duke in the boat. Like there's so
Yeah.
many funny moments, and the scene when he faces the fan. Get ready. The cops are already on their way. That's like one of the
Oh
fun. The whole
man,
theater is dying. He is hilarious, but see, that's the thing. The comedy works. It's so
it does.
natural, and it's how people would react. It's not forced. If you're in that situation, it's so crazy. You're going to be funny. You're going to say funny stuff to
Yeah,
try and cope with it. And
absolutely, and it's just so well played. And I'm not gonna say it on this, but the twist at the end,
the
the first
twists.
time
Yeah.
watching it, and after watching it, probably after that first time, you definitely pick up on different stuff
Uh
like
huh.
throughout. But that
Yeah.
first time watching it, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember. I think we saw that together
We did. We did.
and being like, "Yo, what is going on?"
I know.
Like,
I know.
hello,
I know.
but what a movie.
Yeah. This is. I read something today. I'm gonna read this. A couple of things here. Red refers to themselves as shadows, the tethered, as she speaks like the
Yeah.
wind has been knocked out of her. Um, Copies of the humans that live on the surface of the earth. The tethered live below ground in a giant underground tunnel system, their lives mimicking their doppelgangers on the surface, only much more disturbed. But they've had enough and they've come to take what they believe is their rightful place after years of neglect. Um, and there's a lot of biblical references in this movie. Um, Jeremiah 11:11 pops up a lot. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape, and though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. That's dark. It's scary. That is a scary verse.
That's intense.
It is. Well, and that's kind of however you take it, however, Jordan Peele took that, it in the movie, that's kind of what happens with the tethered. I mean, it's like things happen. I'm not going to say, but things happen that the main family has to face themselves, in a legit way that we've never seen. That's the thing about this movie. Nobody has ever seen this before. All new, totally original. It's a basic. The main idea is basic, but how it's pulled off is totally original.
Absolutely. And one thing that I notice is like Jordan Peele, he definitely uses a lot of, biblical references
Yeah,
within his movies to like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but like he takes like these passages and like kind of like puts them on the screen.
yeah, and
I'm
he
not saying like
threads them throughout. Yeah,
I'm not saying like they're Christian films or anything,
no,
but
no, no,
like
no, no.
but not at all. But it's just it's crazy how like there are so many like references that make his movie what it is, and it's like crazy and
Yeah.
your face.
Well, and
Like,
one
not like in a bad way in your face, but like in a
right.
it's like almost like hiding in plain sight, but it makes
Yeah, yeah,
once you watch it a couple times.
yeah.
Like
Well,
it's there, but like you don't really notice at first.
yes. If it was a snake, it would have bit you. Yeah. Well, there's. I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I'm gonna give my rating. This is interesting. I've kind of thought about this. The Shining, um, which is a movie I have always liked.
Great movie.
Looked to be it's one of the films that was had the most nods to it in Us. Like the overhead shot of the Wilsons driving through the forest
Yeah,
going to their
yeah,
vacation, and the scene where the family in the Shine Jack Torrance and are driving to the Overlook Hotel through the mountains and that big overshot of that was one of the first things I was like, that's literally Stanley Kubrick. Like that is The Shining. So he takes a lot from that movie, and he takes a lot from that movie in but that and Rosemary's Baby. Oh, like Get Out. There's a ton of Rosemary's Baby. If anybody's ever seen Rosemary's Baby, check that out too. That's one of
good
my
movie.
favorite movies of all time. That there's a lot of that in Get Out with isolation and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna say Us. Us is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Really,
Mhm. There's the only part I don't love in the movie is how do I say this without Red has a long monologue about things that should have been showed and not said, I think. It felt like she was just talking it instead of us actually kind of seeing and just like going back, and it's almost like she was summarizing what we had seen
hmm.
and explain. I was kind of like, that's the only part of the movie to me. I was like, it's cool. The scene was cool because that was such a great moment between the two of them. But it was like this. She doesn't need to be saying this. It's
Yeah,
just for effect. I don't know. But that's like 5 minutes. I mean, that's a nitpick. It's not that big of a deal, but to me, because it's such a high level of craftsmanship, it's like you have to find things to pick at. So
I definitely would rate this. I'd say an 8.
yeah.
It's definitely in my ratings change all the time for these movies. Today I'm at an 8, which is really high up there though. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's
Yeah.
definitely an 8. Um, I just I really love the movie, and there's so I feel like the only reason that I give it anything less than like a 10 is because I'm one of those people that like knowing the answers to everything, like that like I watch, and there are just so many questions that I have.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, but what about this? Or what about that? And I felt like I didn't get clarity on some of that, but that's kind of what makes it great as
That's what
well.
I love. That's what I
I,
love stuff like that. That I almost, in some ways, is torturous, but like, and some people say it's a cop out, but I just think it's interesting. It's up to interpretation, but
oh, I
it's
think it's interesting and I
I do
love it
too.
too. But with that movie, that's one of those that I'm like, ah, give me more. But I mean, I don't think they would ever make a sequel to that. I could be
No.
speaking too early, but I don't think they will.
Well, you never know. But yeah, that's I almost like to have more questions than when I started the movie, like at the end, which is weird and it's kind of sick to do to myself, but I like that. I like things to be mysterious. If you can't see it, then your imagination can just run wild. Some people find that frustrating, and I get why if I understand it, but I personally I because I like to talk about things and analyze things for myself, so
It literally just depends on the day for me on like if
yeah.
I'm like that. But I guess talking about there's so many things that I'm like, I wonder what like why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely
Why?
ooh,
Um,
no.
so next we have Candyman, which came out
Mm.
in August 27th of 2021. And this is not directed by Jordan Peele, but it's co-written. So the director is Nia DaCosta, and it's co-written by Jordan Peele and Win Rosenfeld.
Didn't he
So
produce it?
yeah, he did. He was a part of the yeah. So, for decades, the housing projects of Chicago's Cabrini Green were terrorized by a ghost story about a supernatural, hook handed killer. In present day, an artist begins to explore the macabre history of Candyman, not knowing if it would unravel his sanity and unleash a terrifying wave of violence that puts him on a collision course with destiny. So this as Tony Todd, classic Candyman Tony Todd, Tiona Paris as Brianna Cartwright, and Yaha Abdul Mateen II as Anthony McCoy playing the lead. These three characters I was obsessed with in the context of this movie. Anthony McCoy is amazing. Is an amazing character. The way he looks, the way he talks, like everything about him fits the macabre and dark vibe of because he is not. I mean, he's not. This isn't to be sound mean, but he is a kind of creepy looking guy. Especially in this film, the way they have him, he's really serious and he's really dark. Like he looks very kind of disturbed, you
Mm.
know. And he creeped me out almost as much as Candyman. I don't know, something about him made me. The whole movie makes me uneasy. Like the scene in looking into the hotel window with the woman when she did a deed. Something happened. That scene. That's one of my favorite Jordan Peele scenes.
Mm.
That scene is so creative, and it in the theater I was like, my jaw was like on the floor because it's so visceral, but it's happening. You don't hear anything. You just see it from like couple of blocks away. And you're like, what is happening? And then it's like, oh, and then it just cuts. And it's like, what did I just witness? And the soundtrack, the score is so dark and creepy. This movie has such a good vibe, and this is a controversial opinion, but this movie to me is better than the original.
Oh man, this movie is it's one of my favorites. I'm being like dead serious. This
Wow.
this movie, one of my favorites. Um,
Wow.
I remember watching Candyman 1, you know,
Hmm.
maybe early teenage years,
Yeah.
maybe like 14, 15. But I remember watching Candyman for the first time and being so creeped out by this idea of the idea behind Candyman because it's such a dark premise
Yeah.
of a movie like even the lore that they tell in the movie is just like,
It's
ooh,
it's sick. It is.
you know,
It is.
it's dark. It's a dark
It
movie.
is. It is.
But whenever I saw that they were remaking Candyman, I
Was
I
like,
was
eh.
happy, but like I was like, but like, do we need it? I don't know.
Do we
But
need it?
oh man,
Yes, we do. Holy
we
Lord. Yeah.
needed it.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peele put his little twist on this movie and made it a masterpiece of the horror movies.
Yeah.
This movie, I mean, I even wrote an essay on this movie for a class. I did because I love this
Wow.
movie so much.
That's awesome. I didn't know
Candyman,
that.
oh yeah,
Wow.
Candyman. This one
Well, spill.
was
Give it to
so
us.
it's just so unique, and it's
Yeah.
so and the acting is incredible, especially the main character, because you see him go through all these changes. The comedy was actually, it was good in this, but it was scary. Like
This is
there's some,
probably his darkest movie for
yeah,
sure.
there are some intense scenes
Yeah.
in this movie, like from
Yeah.
start to finish. Like it's pretty intense at
Even
times.
the credits. The opening credits are like,
Yeah.
what? Because the score is so sporadic and it's so dark and and it's such a the whole movie is dark. It's clean and dark. It's like whites, grays, black, brown. It's just dark and macabre and blah. You know.
Oh, absolutely. And oh man, I love this movie. I love this movie so much. And I will say it is better than the original in my opinion. That could be a controversial statement,
Well, we're two
but
for two on that for us, so
I
we're good.
truly do believe that it is better than the original. And I writing wise, this is my favorite Jordan Peele movie written.
Wow.
Um Characters, plot, everything. I
Yeah.
love this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's the hint of nostalgia I get always watching it, but something about it. Like this movie is my 10 out of 10 Jordan Peele.
Wow. That's cool. Well, yeah. I mean, Anthony, I read that Anthony was actually an infant and he was a victim of Candyman in the original, which I
Hmm,
somehow miss that within watching I didn't know that. I didn't know that his character was actually somehow related to the first.
I don't
Um,
think
so
I
he,
realized that, and
so
I
he
just
had
went on a
been.
rant of how much I love this movie.
Well, I read that today, and I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but because I don't know if we both would have missed that, but maybe, I mean, they didn't explicitly mention it, in the movie. They weren't like, oh, he was a child in the first movie,
Yeah.
Um, maybe it was just a passing thing, but oh, man, I don't know. Yeah, the cinematography in this movie is relentless, and it's very claustrophobic and dark and tense, but never does it feel like when it's leading up to something. I never was like rolling my eyes or like, oh, here comes a stupid jump scare with a loud noise, or oh, here comes a cat scurrying across the it was always real palpable tension, and usually it had to do with the characters.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on with Candyman, and there are some scares which are good, but the characters in this are fantastic, and they're struggling and they're dark, and there's a lot of things that in the first half of the movie, there's some messed up things that happen in an art gallery with some of the coolest cinematography I've seen in Jordan Peele's career.
So
His
good.
career, man, what a scene, what a movie! I love that you love this movie as much as you do. We need to watch this together because we didn't watch it together. We
Well,
need
it
to
is 10 days until October.
sit.
I watch a horror movie every single day of October, or I try to. This will definitely come up, and we'll make a Zoom and watch the movie. Or if you're home, we'll watch it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I would. Man, wow, this is tough. I would give this movie. Oh man, I would give this movie a 9. And there's not much of a reason other than I really like it. There's some moments in the middle to me that are I don't remember. It's not as intense as the beginning. It's not as strong as the beginning and the end. The middle gets a little muddy for me. So if the middle were as potent, I would I would give it a 10. But a 9 is I mean it's my second favorite Peel movie. So yeah. What about you, sir? Where would you give it a 10 out of 10?
I give this movie a 10.
Yeah.
Just it is very hard for me to rate a movie a 10.
Yeah.
Now I can have high ratings, but I rarely give tens
Yeah.
just because I
It
feel like
has to
that means
just
it's a
blow
perfect
your mind.
movie.
Yeah.
This one is one of those, and again, I think the nostalgia really hit me when I watched it. And like how it was my like one of my first slasher movies I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, the first Candyman is just so out there and
Yeah,
everything.
it is.
I've never seen really a horror movie like it.
No.
And with that being said, they were given a very hard task to revamp this movie, which I was, weary about, not weary about, but like, cautious about. I think that's a better.
Yeah. Nervous.
And I was nervous. I'm like, oh, do we need one?
Eh.
Will it even rival it? I mean, because when did that come out? Like 2021?
They were dealing with COVID too. Production was pushed off like a year. I mean
Yeah, like
they had a lot of problems.
they were dealing with COVID, you know, and like
Good old
recently, like the horror movie reboots have not been the best,
no.
because we have like the Friday the 13th, where I guess Jason runs now, but like, whatever, cool. We have the new Freddy, which no one really rivals the original.
No.
Um,
I don't know why they try. It's just for cash. They just want
and then
money.
we have the almost Michael Chavez level, but not quite, version of the Texas Chainsaw on like
Oh
Netflix, which
God.
is really bad.
Oh, brutal.
Maybe Michael Chavez had an input and it went downhill from there. I don't know.
Ye-
Um,
Or maybe he saved it. Who knows? That movie's horrific.
he's not even a part of it. I don't
No,
know.
but if he was,
But if he
it might have
was,
been better. It's so bad that he might have helped.
depends on what year they filmed it. If it was all your own a year, it was no chance. I would have made it 5 minutes instead of seven. But sorry, that is so mean. I gotta chill out on him,
No,
man.
it's fine. It's
He's just a
fine.
person.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be the nicest person in the world. I just think his, director abilities are not. Um,
Wow. They are not. That's going to be on your tombstone. They are
not.
not.
It,
I
uh,
am not
okay,
anymore.
okay.
I exist no more.
Moving quickly along.
Wow. Is that what you wrote in your college essay? Not.
Michael Chavez is not. Question mark? Question mark?
Yeah, the
Yes.
teacher's red question mark question. Fail. Okay.
The Mr. Martin question mark.
Yeah. Oh god. So um next is Nope. July 22nd, 2022. A man and his sister discover something sinister in the skies above their California house, horse ranch, while the owner of a nearby theme park tries to profit from the mysterious otherworldly phenomenon. This is Daniel Kaluuya again as OJ, Otis, and Kiki Palmer as Emerald, and their brother and sister, the Haywoods, and Michael Wincott as the Antlers Holst and Stephen Yeun as Ricky Jupe Park. And this movie is so strange, and so it's all about the spectacle, and they're trying to capture this certain moment and trying to go down in history and document this certain moment. And the opening scene, Lawson, I'm not even kidding you. The opening scene, I thought I was in the wrong movie. You know what I'm talking about. I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, wait, this is like, what is this? And I like checked my ticket. I was like, okay, just let it go. And within about 10 minutes, I was like, yep, I'm in the right movie.
No, this is right.
Yep, this is right. And maybe this, yeah. So this movie for me, stylistically, is probably my favorite Jordan Peele movie in terms of the cinematography, the choices of this, not the choices of this movie, but the, what am I trying to say? The, I guess, indie art house vibes in this movie. It's so, there's so much unexplained. The characters, OJ acts so weird. He's so insecure and not insecure, but uh introverted. I couldn't think of the word. And he's so awkward. Like the hold on, I've got this article here. I'm going to pull up about this movie, and I'll get to this in a second. But there's just so much mystery in this movie, and there's so much comedy. Kiki Palmer's character is hilarious, and once again, if her character was in any other movie other than a Jordan Peele movie, it wouldn't work because nobody knows how to write comedy, put comedy and horror together like Jordan Peele. I think.
That is 100% accurate.
She's perfect. She is exactly what the movie needs in terms of relief from what's happening. And she's a smart character. She knows what she's doing. She stands up for herself. She's a part of the team. You know. Um, Let me find this. Uh, so I was reading this article about the cinematography of this movie, and one of the topics here is claustrophobia. Check this out. So early on in the story, it is clear that Otis suffers from some kind of social anxiety. That's the phrase I was looking for. He looks nervous and finds it difficult to maintain eye contact. This is communicated predominantly through the cinematography and through Daniel's amazing performance. All he just stares a lot. He has this RBF like nobody's business, and he can just um, composition of the first few scenes featured deep staging with the camera racking focus between what Otis sees in the distance to who is speaking with him rather closely. Um, Characters stare directly into the camera, and we experience the same sense of unease Otis clearly feels, as the camera continues to shift between what is located in the background and the foreground. We feel Otis's claustrophobia mounting. He, like everyone who is made a spectacle of, is being watched. You get this whole sense, even as an audience member in this movie, that you're being watched and you're being analyzed. And this thing is, you know what I mean? It's so uncomfortable. And yeah,
The movie to me, I mean, I saw this movie multiple times in theaters just to kind of wrap my head around it.
yeah,
Um,
yes, there's a lot.
I would definitely call this the art house Jordan Peele movie,
Yep,
um, which is great. I mean, I like art house movies; they're definitely thought provoking.
yeah,
Um, but this one was definitely crazy to me. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, if you watch the movie, it's crazy, but it's just so intense, but and it's offbeat in a good way.
It is.
Just like
Everybody's
uncomfortable.
off.
Everyone is uncomfortable. Like
Yes.
you are. The characters in in the movie are uncomfortable. Like even like the additional characters, like Stephen Young.
Hmm.
His
Stephen Young. Yeah.
character. Yeah, his character is just offbeat. It's weird. you
The
know,
setting in the California desert with this weird like theme park and all these like blow up.
'cause there's not even a lot of characters, but, oh, one of my favorite, characters in that movie, though, was the director, man.
Yeah, yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes.
and I find it
Michael Wincott.
interesting,
Yeah,
the whole time he's trying to come up with the perfect shot for the movie,
yeah,
but, it's funny, like, you see, like, in the beginning, his character is, he's watching films, watching, like, for the perfect shot. Well,
yeah,
he's always looking and, like, never satisfied, and I felt like that was a kinda a theme in that movie, was never being satisfied because,
yeah.
Steven's character, he always wanted to get more people out there. He wanted
He wanted
more.
people to see him. He wanted the spotlight.
He wanted the spotlight, and even like Palmer's and like Daniel's character, like Otis,
Yeah,
they wanted more. They wanted more in like a, I guess, in a different sense than the other people. Because the person that helps them, that's I'm blanking on the name, but he sets up all the video cameras at the house.
yeah, oh, yeah,
He
yeah,
wants
yeah,
more, but he's in it for the money. The director wants more, but he's in it for the perfect shot. You
yeah.
know, Steven wants more, but he wants more just for himself to be the spectacle. He
Right.
wants to be as much of the spectacle as the whole movie as a
Yeah,
whole, and which is, it's beautiful. It's beautifully written.
it
It
is.
makes you uncomfortable, but like in a great way. I mean, the whole time, and I'm not going to spoil it, but like the big shock of the movie, it was more.
Yeah, it's like
Everything
once you
was more.
think, yeah, once you think, it's like okay, this is as far as like, well, what else are they gonna do? It's
It
like
just keeps going.
boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Angel is the character you were talking about. The
Yeah,
guy
Angel.
that
That's right.
the worker, the tech, the video, the buy more worker. No, I'm just kidding. The video store
What?
worker.
With the Bible?
Pretty
Where's
much.
the F? Where's the last?
Pretty much.
Moving
We'll come back
right
to
along.
that one episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different topic. Um, but moving on. All the characters, it just works so well together, and it's just,
Yeah.
what a movie. I mean, it almost felt like a couple spots where you couldn't like come up for air. You're just like, oh my
No,
god,
no.
what is happening? And like, it's like your
And but it
mind
keeps
couldn't
piling
really
on.
get like a breath of fresh air for a minute because it's
The
just,
thing the thing
this
with
is
it is,
just going
yeah,
and going.
it's like he'll give you something and then give you something else, but he's and more, but he's not explaining anything to you as you go. All this stuff is like piling up. So you get more anxious and you have no idea, well, what is this? What is that? What is that? Now what is that? But how's that? And it makes you go crazy a little bit, you know?
And
It's
I
like,
feel like
what?
that's the big difference between us and Nope. For me, like when I was talking earlier about like
Mhm.
the more questions going in.
Yeah.
See, I loved having so many questions about Nope. And
Mhm.
that's why I didn't like it as much about Us, because I wanted the more answers with that. But I
Yeah.
was okay with the mysteriousness of Nope. I was like,
Because the whole vibe of it is like, what is happening? Yeah.
because you don't know. Like you go in not knowing and you leave not knowing.
And no one knows.
Yeah. And
No
just
one
the
knows.
symbolism and like the biblical references, and
Yep.
I'm not gonna go into that part, exactly,
Yeah.
just because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, the movie is insane, and the cinematography is amazing, and it was made with IMAX cameras,
Well, that's what I was about to say. This
which,
is the yeah.
yeah,
This is the first. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, take the reins.
Take the reins, Lorraine.
Take
So this is the first horror movie filmed on IMAX cameras,
Really?
and the cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema did movies like, oh man, what has he done? Gosh, he's done Oppenheimer. He's worked on Oppenheimer, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Nope, Tenet,
Really?
Let the Right One In,
Oh, that's
um,
cool.
Ad
That's
Astra.
cool.
I mean, he is incredible, and a lot of those like the shots with a certain object in the sky. Um,
Ooh.
Mysterious. Keeping with the spirit of the movie. So yeah, the a lot of those shots, like because they were in a valley, it was this big like,
Yeah.
and you would see this thing way out in the distance, and Daniel's character would be, and you would have no idea, but it was all at night. But they shot those shots, a lot of those shots during the day, and did the post production work at night to add these big crazy shadows and this big moonlight. So it seemed like almost this like kooky like The Thing or something. You know what I mean? It was in the spirit of an old like alien flick or something.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what made it. That's what added. There were so many styles in this movie, and the whole monkey situation. That was it. All ties in, but that's the thing. It's like at first you're like, what is going on? You know, there's all these stories, all these things coming at you, and it yeah.
I definitely would rate this a 9.5.
Yeah, I would say I would say I would say 9. I would say 9 just because there's some stuff that happens at the end that not at the very end, but getting toward like at the beginning of the third act, there's some things that are revealed and I'm kind of like, okay. It's
Yeah.
more and it's cool that it's more, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Not that that's a
Yeah.
bad thing, but it's just more. It's weird, but it's just more weirdness. It keeps going further with the weirdness, and it didn't lose me, but it was kind of like, okay, I'm rolling with it. Okay, we're just gonna roll
Yeah.
with it. So there was nothing bad. It was just kind of I was indifferent to certain things that happened in the third act. The first act and the second act are fantastic. The third act has its meanings and its purpose, and I appreciate it, but it's not my favorite part of the movie. And there's a big scene with a motorcycle at the end that's really cool. Towards the end, that is awesome. But yeah, so um, I guess we can mention too that Jordan Peele um, narrated the remake of the Twilight Zone.
Have you seen any of them?
I've seen pieces of some episodes. I haven't seen the whole series, but I've seen some pieces of episodes. Yeah,
I love it. I think it's really good. I mean, The Twilight Zone, I used to watch that all the time,
me too.
growing up. Like, that was like the show that my parents were like, "Ooh, you can watch it." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
awesome." So,
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
I just remember watching, like, I think I even owned the complete series, if I'm being honest.
Oh
Like, the
wow.
original one,
Oh, that's
I
cool.
think I
Yeah.
owned, like, the complete series because I wore one of the DVDs out from just watching it so much. I
That's
think it was,
cool.
like, maybe the 3rd season. I'm not entirely sure. It was
Yeah.
either the 2nd or 3rd, but, like, I wore that DVD out just watching
Yeah.
it all the time.
Wow.
And so
That's
whenever
cool.
Jordan Peele went on it, of course, I was 100% on board, and I loved it. I don't know if they're making any more. I
I
hope
don't
they
know
do,
either.
but
I
I
don't know
don't
either.
know. Um, you know, I
Well,
just
it's got everything he touches now. He's got his certain brand and his stamp. It's like even from the first trailer, he's just narrating it.
yeah,
It's not. I mean, he's just talking, but it's
it's him.
immediately his world.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what's so powerful about it. It's like a Hitchcock thing, or it's like Hitchcock comes on screen and it's like bam, everything feels like him somehow. He's got such a captivating persona and a body of work now.
absolutely. And he took on because Rod Sterling. I mean, I remember like he was the icon. He was the Twilight Zone. Like his
Yeah,
narration was just
it's
and then Jordan
iconic.
Peele. You know, because it's so hard to fill in those shoes, but I think he did
Yeah,
a great job.
he did. He was the perfect guy to do because it's his thing too. It's like twisted, weird stories. You can't exactly put it into one category. I mean, you could say Get Out, Us, and Nope could all be a Twilight Zone. Could be Twilight Zone episodes.
I
especially Nope.
wouldn't be
You
shocked.
know, you know.
I wouldn't be shocked in like 10 years. He's like, oh yeah, they were all part of the Twilight Zone. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but not that
Um,
I think that's gonna happen.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if we should really give a series a rating. You know what I mean? Because there's so many.
Not
It's hard.
really.
It's hard to kind of lump it all into one. I enjoyed what I've seen. I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't even
Well,
make a
I
statement.
think the best, yeah, I think the best thing we can do is just like recommend it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely recommend to watch it. It's very subjective because if you don't like the Twilight Zone stuff or like you're not gonna
You're not
like
gonna enjoy. Yeah,
you're not gonna appreciate it. But like if you grew up watching that kind of stuff, then you're gonna love it.
yeah. So Jordan Peele has announced his next, or at least the release date of this next film he's working on. Yeah, December. It's coming out Christmas Day, December 2024. And apparently, people are assuming because he hasn't said a word, which this is how he is. He waits and waits and waits and then drops it on you, you know. But the people are thinking it's going to be some kind of dark horror something comedy mixed with like holiday cheer, basically. In a Jordan Peele fashion. It's going to be almost like a Christmas horror or something. And that sounds cheesy. There's so like Krampus. There's so many movies where it's like, ooh, Santa's going to kill you. But it's not going to be that. But I feel like
Santa's,
Santa's coming down the chimney and going to kill you. He's
I
coming for
love
the
how
kids.
casual you're like. There's so many movies where just Santa just is killing the kids. I mean,
But
what?
um, But yeah, well, I mean, so I
Yeah.
don't. It's not going to be that. I mean, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see, especially because all of his other stuff has come out in like spring and summer. So
Mhm.
there's definitely some sort of seasonal reason he's doing this. There's a purpose on
And he
Christmas
announced it.
Day. Like what?
Yeah. And he announced it like 3 weeks after Nope like release, or it was
Yeah,
something crazy like that.
it was
Yeah,
right around the time. Yeah,
yeah, because we never, Nope was given like 2 years before it was released. Like he dropped that picture of like
yeah.
the
It was like year and a half before. Yeah.
and you're like, what? But this
What?
was like 2.5,
Yeah.
before. But he already had a plan, so I'm for it. I'm
Let
excited.
me,
I'll
I'm
be
gonna
at
see.
theaters.
I'm gonna see. Let me Google this new live production here. Googling stuff. Let's see. So he released March 20th of 2023. A lot of articles are. I was just had to remember the date. There's a lot of articles on March 20th, 2023, saying about Jordan Peele. There's new details on Jordan Peele's movie. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I think there were talks of it during the note period, but I don't think he released anything until this year, which was basically just the release date. So,
Like without a poster. We
with
just
nothing, yeah. I mean, it'll be months before we get anything else, That's
oh
just how he
yeah.
rolls. It'll be bop. So, one final thing I want to do here is let's rank the movies that we've talked about today. Let's see if we can put them in some kind of order. Mine, in the ideal world, would be 1A, 1B, 1C, one. It's hard to even put because they're all so good.
Well, I do think I have mine.
Yeah, well, go for it.
So I'm gonna be going. So my number one is Candyman.
Uh huh.
My number two is Nope.
Yeah. Wow.
I would say my number three is Get Out, and my number four is Us,
Wow.
which changed from what I originally thought it was going to be. But after talking about it all, I do think that is my rating and my
Well,
ranking.
this is about to be wild. So mine is number one. Number one is Us. Number two is Candyman. So we're pretty close. Number three is Nope, and number four is Get Out. Now, people are going
My
to
list is
lose their
better.
marbles.
What?
I Get Out in fourth, in last. Get Out is a great movie. I love it, but I love the styles and the cinematography and the ideas and concepts in the first three movies more. They appeal to my taste more than Get Out. Get Out is objectively a good movie, and I
Yes.
enjoy it. I have not watched it as much as the other three. I haven't. I mean, I've delved into it, but it's not my favorite of his films.
Yeah.
So
Totally understandable.
so well, you got any last words? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I really want to watch Candyman again now.
This makes me want to watch all of them, just like
Yeah.
binge. Um,
Let me just
I do
call
have.
him.
Oh, let me show you this. Let me go off screen. Let me show you what I bought. Hopefully, this comes through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
I am. After this has inspired me, I'm gonna binge the three of those movies again.
Yeah. No, fair.
um, Candyman should be in there too, but yeah, Lawson, man, this is once again. Thank you for doing this. This has
No,
been
this has been
such a
great.
good. We've never really talked. We were talking
Talk about it.
before we started. We've seen some of them together. We've talked about them a little, but we haven't. Normally, we dive into all this stuff like crazy, you know. But we
Yeah.
haven't. For some reason, we haven't talked about these movies in depth a lot.
No, not
And
really.
so, and we've talked more about spoilers and stuff, but we don't want to give anything away for
No.
anybody who hasn't seen this stuff. But yeah, this was cool to dive in and hear our rankings and kind of see where our heads are at with this stuff. So yeah, thank you, man.
No,
This has
thank
been
you.
good. And I guess we'll see everybody next week on Time Theory.